Hello and welcome back to the KCC channel. I'm Rob and I hope you are having a wonderful day today. Today we're jumping into some r/relationship advice. Before we start, if you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It's completely free and you can always change your mind later. Alright, our first relationship advice post comes to us from a throwaway account, throwaway22334411T. It's titled, Girlfriend Acting Strange About Things After Finding Out I'm Not Actually Rich. Let's jump right in. So this is kind of complicated. Basically, I, 25 male, have a sister from my mother's previous marriage. My awesome sister, 35 female, didn't have any relationship with her bio dad or much of his family during my lifetime. Her dad sounds like an absolute monster that no one wanted in their life, including his own parents, my sister's grandparents. Her grandfather passed away about 6 years ago, and he was a very, very wealthy man. Her grandma had passed away a few years before that. Everything was left to my sister and her aunt. Her father got nothing and tried to sue my sister, and it was a whole thing I don't know much about. But from what I understand, my sister won the case. My sister is amazing. She has been more than generous with her inheritance. I don't talk too much about money or the situation, and it rarely comes up. I can see how from the outside it now appears me and my parents are wealthy. My sister bought my parents a nice house in an expensive area. She helped out our dad start his own business instead of being an employee. Our dad is our dad to both of us. He has been her dad since she was less than a year old. He makes about the same, but now he has much more freedom. He is not rich. The house I live in is one of the properties my sister inherited. It's a nice suburban kind of home that most people my age would not be able to afford. I certainly couldn't. My sister lets me live there for free. She also inherited a cottage property on a lake my family never would have been able to afford that my parents and I use basically whenever we want, as awesome sister lives in the city and rarely uses it. Sorry for all this, but I think it matters. I actually met my girlfriend at the cottage through mutual friends I had up there one weekend before the pandemic. Anyways, like I said, I don't really go around explaining to people about my sister or my family's money, or that I live in her house for free. Maybe if it comes up, which I guess it finally did in detail. My girlfriend was going to have a girls' weekend that I guess they did every year before the pandemic, where they would normally rent like a lake house for the weekend. She asked me to ask my parents if they could use the cottage. I kinda laughed as it is not my parents, and said it was fine as no one would be up there. She was kind of confused and I said that it actually belonged to my sister. After finding this out, she has asked more questions. At one point, she said something about selling my house and moving more downtown into the city. She was pretty weirded out when I explained I don't own this house. Then, more questions. She was obviously under the impression that my parents and I are rich. She was also kind of annoyed that I didn't inherit anything. I explained that they were not my grandparents, and I only ever met them a couple times, and that they probably knew awesome sister would hook me up. We also go on vacations, etc. on awesome sister's dime. She pays for all of us to go on trips together. I don't see her that much, or at least as much as I'd like to, because she spends a lot of time traveling, and her girlfriend is from France and they spend a lot of time there. Ever since she found out we're not rich, I can't help feeling like she's disappointed or something. I don't really have anyone in my life I want to bring it up with because I feel like they'd automatically think she's a gold digger. How can I figure out if she was attracted to money I don't have? I feel so defeated. Jumping down to the comment section for this one, it's pretty clear that everybody thinks OP's girlfriend is a gold digger. First comment from RyRy202, it says, "Mate, I've read your post and comments. What are you trying to figure out? She is asking about your salary, is rude about your extremely generous sister, was happy to get by on what she assumed was your parents' money. Why on earth would you think she is anything but a gold digger? She's after the money. She's made it abundantly clear. Do you not think you deserve more than someone who wants you for your perceived money? Do you not think your sister deserves better than to be insulted like this? Cut this off." I can completely agree with this one because if OP's girlfriend is making it out like OP doesn't have any more value than their sister's money, then OP really needs to get out of this situation. This was echoed in a reply to this comment from a user called Unicorns. It says, yeah, staying with this woman could actually harm his relationship with his sister and ultimately the rest of his family. The girlfriend could say something nasty to her or his folks, and depending on how OP reacts, it could cause a rift. No one that generous is deserving of that kind of disloyalty. I would cut him off until he got rid of the girlfriend if I were OP's sister. My husband's grandmother has a lot more money than we previously realized. She's honestly loaded. Well, his cousin's wife figured it out too and said something like, "We'll just live off of grandma's money when she dies." Husband got a copy of his grandmother's will recently when she revised it after his father's passing. Whoa, drama. The wife is specifically excluded, so she better hope her husband never dies, because she isn't getting crap, and it'll all end up in a trust for her children. I can't imagine his grandmother feels very good things towards the cousin right now either, which is unfortunate because she's a sweet woman that just lost her husband and youngest son less than 2 years apart and needs family right now. OP, I hope you put your family first. Greed is a systemic issue inside of people that touches every aspect of who they are. OP themselves really brought this point home when they said, "She also said my sister is greedy for not splitting the inheritance equally with me and our other siblings." OP, case closed, she's a gold digger. I want to touch on one other thing really quickly here though. OP, it sounds to me like you might not really be prepared for the future. You're living off of your sister's money. You're living completely rent-free. I really hope you're working and putting away money this whole time. Your current situation is really a chance for you to build up your own nest egg so that you can be financially secure in the future, regardless of what your sister does. Our second relationship advice post comes to us from LifeGrooves. I, 29 male, wanted to live with my girlfriend, 31 female, until she gave me an ultimatum. Let's jump right in. Title essentially summarizes my current situation, but for additional context, we've been dating for just over 3 years now, and would otherwise describe the relationship as great. Communicate well, common life goals, solid physical intimacy, etc. A year into our relationship, I moved across town to live in the same neighborhood as her. Since then, I've run into financial troubles due to family's debt and health problems that required me to quit my job to help out with. A long story for another day. Girlfriend works in tech and makes a solid salary. Over the past year, we've talked about living together and I love the idea. Both our places are too small, so we'd need to find a new place. Fantastic. Great opportunity to build a home together. Only problem is that when we started looking, I couldn't afford my share of the rent at a larger place she'd wanted to live in. She has offered to pay more than me, but it doesn't feel right to owe her so early on. And she doesn't want to move to a cheaper neighborhood. Since then, prices in our city have gone through the roof, with many places doubling in the last 6 months alone. Looking at rental sites went from being this fun activity we both enjoyed to one which I dread, as each time we'd realize there were fewer or more expensive options. Inevitably, it would end in tears because girlfriend felt like we were not building a life together and that our relationship was in limbo. Naturally, it became a subject I avoided, from small things like not pointing out rental signs whenever we'd be out, to removing home renovation shows on our Netflix list. I did my best to steer conversations away from the dreaded topic. What's the point, I thought? As much as I'd love to, my financial situation hasn't changed, and neither has her willingness to compromise on location or quality. Otherwise, I thought everything was fine and that it was just a matter of time until I could return to a more conventional employment situation, and moving in together, getting engaged or married wouldn't feel so daunting. All this came to a head last week when she dropped an emotional bomb on me saying that she felt like I did not love her and that she somehow was not enough to excite me to want to live with her. Both unequivocally incorrect statements. Conversation ended with an ultimatum: live together by the end of the year or she'd call it quits. I love her, and the thought of breaking up feels like ground opening up beneath my feet. I got to work and found the best listings I could find and figured out how much I could potentially make by Airbnb my current place to offset the rent. It's going to be a stretch, but I'll make it work somehow. Problem now is that the way this conversation went down has killed my desire to live together. I feel like it has robbed me of my autonomy, is putting additional unnecessary financial stress, and has made me question if everything else I've ever done to show her I love her meant nothing. Appreciate any advice, friends. OP added a quick edit to this post and an update after that. The edit says, to clarify, the option I found that she'd like would only work if she's covering 75% of the rent. I'm fine with it if that's what it takes. Plus, me Airbnb-ing my current place for some profit. Before we get to the update on this story, I want to bring up one of the comments down below this story from a user called K Braithwaite. It says, I'm with her on this one. You said you would do this, and rather than talk to her and tell her it isn't possible right now, you decided instead to refuse to compromise or find a way to pay based upon income earned. And then you started avoiding it outright and manipulating situations so it wouldn't come up. And now that she's put her foot down and says that you do what you said and begin a life together, or there's obviously no future together because she's hit a breaking point, you're still so against compromise that you apparently now don't even want to live with her and are acting like you're robbed of your autonomy, which is absurd, by the way. Anyway, you've clearly decided that there's no future together, so might as well break up now instead of waiting until the end of the year. For your next relationship, you need to change your fundamental understanding of what a partnership is, because your view right now is basically transactional roommates. Partners don't split 50-50 or not at all, no matter what. Partners support each other and do what is needed to make the relationship and situations work. Partners constantly try to work and grow together and address issues together instead of running from them. Your soon-to-be ex offered to pay a percentage of the home based upon the amount of money she earns compared to you, and you think that would mean you are owing her? That's so wrong. Your relationship is not a transaction. Partnerships are not about keeping score. You know, or you could try to change your view to save this relationship, but I'm not holding my breath, considering you'd swing to the extreme of questioning everything and acting like she's robbed you of your autonomy before even contemplating compromise. But meh, it's your life. Alright, with that being said, let's get to OP's update. It says, edit number 2. After going through all your posts, I posted a follow-up that was suggested should be included in the main post, so here it is. Hello all, OP here. Going through all your comments has been very helpful, thank you. I want to be the best partner I can be. It's clear I've fallen short. Although I did not act with the intention of hurting her, it's obvious now that I have. Your posts have helped me see that my actions were not honest, and I let my ego and embarrassment and shame get in the way of a relationship with a wonderful girl. Here's what I'm going to do next. Family business and parents' health. It's become clear I need an out. Giving up my financial independence to help them has done me more harm than them good. We'll figure out how I can transition back to a more normal life and support them without necessarily trying to do everything myself. Going back to my old job will also help greatly with money. Girlfriend, first, I need to own up to my actions and apologize. I need to be honest with her about why I've acted out the way I have. Next, we need to talk clearly about how we can make living together work in the short term equitably, and how our arrangement could change when I can contribute more in the coming months. Specific to this topic, but also in general, a financial foundation, you could say. Personal, it's clear my feelings came from a bad place, and it's not fair on my girlfriend. I need to work through my various issues if I don't want them to rear their ugly head at some point in the future. I've never gone to any form of therapy, but looked up therapists in my city and reached out to a few. Based on the short exchanges, I've selected 2 I think have an approach that would work best, lined up initial consultations for tomorrow and Friday, and based on which I feel is more compatible, I'll schedule regular visits, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly. I guess I'll leave that up to them. I understand therapy is an ongoing process that takes time. Thanks again. So what I got out of this whole thing was that OP is sabotaging their own relationship because they feel inadequate about how much money they'd be able to contribute to the relationship and to the living accommodations. Yeah, OP, it's just a fact of life that people in relationships are sometimes at different places in their working careers. Your girlfriend makes more, she wants to contribute more, and I think you should let her do that. Because it's not about being 50-50, it's about working together in the relationship, like the previous commenter said. Check out both OPs linked in the description down below. I thank you for watching, I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.